Hey, there you are. Man, I've missed you. Oh, hey, you're just in time. You know, that has a double meaning for me. It's like a twofer because just in time, that's the name of this channel, and it's also what you are. You're just in time. My name is Scotty. I'm your host for this channel where we delve into, look back at, celebrate from life in America in the 60s, 70s, 80s. We'll delve into the 90s sometime. I don't know. 60s, 70s, 80s. They're really my era, but really just a high water mark in our society, in our world. Today we're going to be looking at a little video. It's from a channel called Do You Remember? And the video is what school was really like in the 1970s. I can speak from experience. I am an expert on that. I'm gonna ask you and remind you to check out the Do You Remember channel. Nostalgic Nick is doing a lot of good work over there, doing heavy lifting for me, and I appreciate it. And then while you're at it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe. It don't cost nothing.
Don't cost nothing.
You can do it. Come on, you can do it. So today we're talking about what school was really like. We're pulling back the curtain and behind the scenes. If you were not a child of the 60s, 70s, 80s, then you don't know what you missed. You don't know. It was different. It was special. School was different. Our lives were different. The school lunches were way better. Anyway, you're just in time. What was school really like in the 1970s? Let's find out.
All right, so here we go. What school was really like growing up in the 70s.
If you were once a kid and once went to school, then you certainly remember the creeping horror that was the end of summer vacation. The end to non...
Was there anything worse? Was there anything worse than the night before the first day? The last week before the impending doom. And it's even worse now, I think.
Non-stop roaming the neighborhood, lounging by a pool, shooting fireworks into the night sky, and just
or into your neighbor's mailbox, or at their cat.
Being as dirty and sweaty as a kid could get. Now a return to the dreary drudgery that was busy work and rote memorization. Sure, the return was always fairly bittersweet, but how can even the...
There was excitement about it. Don't get me wrong. There was definitely a vein of excitement, because we have faulty memories and we forget what the school year brings, and we're like, we're gonna get to see all my friends. Who cares? It's not that
joy
great.
Of seeing long lost friends who had disappeared into the muggy void 2.5 months prior. Compared to the absolute rapture that was not having to ever go to school, never having to take a test.
I remember this. In fact, this reminds me. I remember the summer that I made the realization that one of the differences between my life as a student and my life as a summer kid was I didn't always have a pencil in my pocket. I refused to have a pencil in my pocket. I did everything I could to not read. I did everything anti-school that I could come up with.
Loud. Never gingerly poking at what the lunch lady insisted was tapioca. Summer vacation was...
Are there like real lunch ladies anymore? Like, I know where we live, the big public school district, everything's done at a central kitchen, and then they're delivered to the schools, and then the lunch ladies are just sort of portion or you know, I guess tray it, but it's not like the picture that was just there now it's like grade F meat.
Simply the best. And
It's
school,
simply the
well,
best.
school was not. But we all had to experience that end of joy, that death of freedom. So why don't we relive
The death of freedom. The death of freedom.
it now together? I'm Nostalgic Nick with Do You Remember? And today we're going to be
Nostalgic Nick does a good job. That's why I'm telling you, go to the channel. Do you remember? And like it and share it and subscribe. Nostalgic. Nick does a good job.
looking at a day in the life of a child in the 1970s. Back to School Edition. Be sure to hit the thumbs
gotta
up
go
icon
back.
if you enjoyed the video.
Back-
and subscribe to
back
the
to
channel for
school
more throwbacks
again.
like this.
Yes,
but
subscribe.
now, seatbelts, everybody. Why on earth is my alarm going off? It must be Saturday, which means
I didn't have an alarm. My mom wasn't going to trust me to get up to an alarm. She was my alarm. My alarm consisted. My alarm consisted of my mom coming in my room and literally pulling the blankets off my bed. Get up!
cartoons. Yay, Super Friends
Super
time.
Friends. Meanwhile-
But my friends, it was at this exact point that my groggy, sleep-deprived train of thought was interrupted by a bellow from downstairs.
Get ready
Kids,
for school!
Up and at 'em, can't be late for your first day of school. Oh no. No.
Say it
I
ain't
had
so.
forgotten during my blissfully ignorant sleep.
There was no way I could have forgotten, though. Here's why. My mom was a teacher. So I was very aware and in tune with the calendar, because she was. And she wasn't happy about the school year starting either.
Forgotten that today was the day the joys of summer were over, and my indentured servitude to the public school
Indentured
system
servitude.
recommenced. Somehow I dragged myself from the warm embrace of
that
my
Peter
bed,
Brady?
pulled on
Was
my
that
lucky
Peter
red
Brady?
t-shirt and some bell-bottoms.
Oh.
A heaping bowl
Bell bottoms. Oh God, I loved my bell bottoms.
of Count Chocula can help improve my
Count
mood,
Chocula.
despite Dad's mutterings about how eating
Frankenberry,
pure sugar for
blueberry,
breakfast would stunt
and
my
fruit
growth.
brute.
It also helped that my back-to-school swag was kinda fly this year. I was really stoked to show off my brand new forest green Trapper Keeper, which was way
Trapper
cooler than my
Keepers were-
dorky
I think they were
sister's David Cassidy
behind my
Superstar
time.
notebook.
We didn't
And
have-
since I'm
we
not
had
a
the
baby anymore,
Peaches.
I am
we
not.
had the Peaches. Do you remember the Peaches? Where they were like tan, like a saddle camel color, and had a picture of like a girl playing tennis, a drawing, and a football player and a baseball player, something like that. And on the backside, it had the conversions, and those were cool.
I ditched my old Scooby-Doo lunchbox because
I had a Get Smart lunchbox with matching thermos that I broke like the first day of first grade, because I threw it, because I walked to school. We lived close enough. I walked to school, and I threw it over a fence because I was going to climb the fence. And I didn't know back then the thermoses, they were glass lined, and so it shattered. And anytime I drank at it after that, I was like, it was like one of those talking, like one of those rain sticks.
Mom got me that awesome metal Jaws one.
Metal.
Oh yeah. My parents
Get
had
smart.
forbidden me from seeing the film, but me and my friends, we kind of snuck in. And it was so awesome and not scary at all. I mean, I haven't been back
You ever
into
seen
the
a
ocean yet, but
shark's
we only
eyes,
went to the
Chief?
beach 5 or 6
Like a-
times after, and I
Like a
just
dollar's eyes, Chief.
didn't really feel like swimming then. It's completely unrelated. I'll swim next summer because I'm
I'll swim
starting the
next
5th
summer,
grade
too.
this year. And my parents were finally letting me bike the 1.5 miles to school. Unlike
I
my
wasn't
dumb
allowed to
little
ride my bike
siblings
to
who were
school
stuck
either,
riding
'cause
the
I
bus
didn't-
like
I don't think
babies.
my mom
So
trusted me
after
to
breakfast,
lock
I
it
yelled
up.
bye to Mom, grabbed my sweet banana seat cycle, and tore off down the street. On the way, I met my friends, Steve and Joey, and we shot the breeze about
Mine
the
was
$6 million
Steve and Paul.
man, and whether or not the Bionic Woman would be a good spinoff, but all too soon, school was in sight, and our conversation drew to a close as we all contemplated what this year had in store for us. Hey, we were 5th graders now, kings of the castle. Maybe it
Lord of
wouldn't
the
be
manor.
so bad. Oh, I was so wrong. Almost from the first bell, things went straight downhill. First of all, I got a bottom locker.
Wait a minute. Did you have lockers in elementary school? Did you? I know some elementary schools probably had lockers, but we didn't. I didn't see lockers until middle school, and I was the last kid in our district that was part of the junior high model. So I did 6th grade in elementary, and then my middle school was just 7, 8. So I didn't see lockers until 7th grade, and then they were really small, and there was like 3 or 4. So he got a bottom locker. You didn't want a very top one, and you didn't want a bottom one.
And of course, who had the one right above mine? Oh, Billy stereotypical Bully Johnson. Great. Perfect.
Stereotypic
Better get in and out as
Johnson.
quickly as possible then. Not to mention this.
Bastard.
This is first day, first period, and Mrs. Crabapple announces that we're gonna have a
Mrs.
pop quiz on the
Crabapple!
summer reading. Seriously, it's barely 9 o'clock on the first day of school. Who cares about a bridge to Terabithia or whatever?
I don't think that was. I think ours was more like where the red fern grows. Maybe. Does that sound right? With boxcar children.
Never even heard of that place. Pencil in hand, I slowly mosey my way to the front of the class.
Well, we're
the act
windbreakers.
of sharpening my excuse to gain a few extra precious
I
moments of thought.
loved.
My brain is turning
I could kill a lot of time at the pencil sharpener. I loved the pencil sharpener.
as fast as my hand and the bladed gears inside the sharpener as I furiously try and remember what the heck happened in that book. I did read it. I skimmed it about 2 months
swear.
ago. Oh boy, this is hopeless. I returned to my seat, resigned to the failure that is rapidly looming.
I had to do a book report. 8th grade maybe, and I wasn't going to read a book. We had to do a book report like the first week of school, so we had to read a book in the summer. I wasn't going to read a book in the summer, so I did go to the library and I found a book. I thought, I'm going to find a book that there's no way the teacher would have read this book, and then I'll just BS my way through it. And I found a book called The Last of the Mohicans, and I made up the most outlandish story, and then he lost his thumb, and
The only redeeming aspect of
I got
this
in trouble.
debacle is being reunited with my
Mrs.
first
Debacle.
and honestly unrequited love, the Ditto. As Mrs. Crabapple begins passing out the quiz forms, my anticipation
Okay,
grows.
this is from-
I remember that sweet, sweet scent of the Ditto machine papers like it was yesterday. I get mine
that was
and
Fast Times at
tenderly
Ridgemont
raise
High.
it
But
to my
what was it about the Ditto paper that it smelled cold? That's the best way I can explain it. It smelled cold. Was it a gateway drug? Was it? Because man, this is what we did. We put our faces to
breathing
it.
in the most magical smell in the world.
Blue
How I
nosed
did
children.
miss this. If I have to fail a quiz, at least I get to do it on my beloved Ditto paper.
Ditto.
So my day got slightly better in art class when Wendy Hendricks sat next to me.
Wendy Hinder. Did you know that's where the term, like when someone says, "Well, I'm going to do such and such," and then another person goes, "Ditto." That's what it means. It means it's from the Ditto form, the Ditto sheet that smells good, and the color was kind of purple, and sometimes they were a little wet. Oh, it's awesome. And then the little girl,
And she said to me my drawing of the horse I rode at camp that summer was really good.
girls
I don't know why,
like
but hearing that from Wendy
horses.
made my stomach go all wormy. And I wondered
Wormy.
why I never noticed how
Made my
cute
stomach
she
go all
was
wormy and
before.
made my worm
Joey
go all
said I was
stomachy.
being weird and kept staring at her. But I punched him in the arm and
which
he
is
shut
what you
up
do.
real quick.
That's right.
Next
Punched him in the
period,
face.
more of the same
In the
boring
face.
memorization slog.
That's what we did. That's how we
Social
rolled.
studies. And today that means staring at maps on the overhead projector
Or
for
the
what
big
felt
map
like
that the
an
teacher pulled
honestly
out.
inhumane amount of time. Who cares where Yugoslavia or
Not
the
even-
USSR
not even the Yugoslavs care.
are? I have my whole life to memorize where those countries are, and they'll be around
Remember the
for
globe?
literally forever. Finally, the bell rings for
had
lunch.
to get in line.
And a brief respite from menial memorization. I buy a carton of milk, chocolate, of course, because I'm not insane.
Okay, in elementary school, we got chocolate milk very rarely. It was a treat. And then when I started middle school, it was one of the choices. You could have chocolate milk every day if you wanted. I thought it was... I kind of liked middle school. There were some cool things about it.
And head over to our usual table. Opening up my slick new
See, we didn't have
lunchbox,
chairs either.
I
We had the
gaze at
benches that were
perfect
built
lunch.
into the-
ham and cheese on white bread.
Ooh, with the
apple
crust cut off.
slices,
How
potato
fancy.
Sticks. Or in other words, the exact same lunch I've eaten at school for the last 5 years.
think I ever took lunch in
don't
middle
mess
school.
with perfection, am I
I
right?
liked the lunch. The
Aw,
lunch
Mommy.
was good. it was good. The food was good when I was in school.
Even
It was.
included a Mars bar as a first day treat, which Joey tries to trade for his school-made tapioca pudding.
No, Joey, no.
Not in
Go
a million
pound sand.
years, Joey.
No,
Those two
not
words
in a
should never pair
million
together.
years.
Ever.
Ever.
Right
And
after
never.
lunch was gym. Cause what's better than stuffing a bunch of kids full of meatloaf or sloppy joes and then having
What would kids think today if they saw the lunches we had or that our parents had? Meatloaf and mashed potatoes?
them run around for an hour? And of course, because our gym teacher is sadistic,
And also Biff from Back to the Future.
we played dodgeball. On the
don't
first
you make like
day,
a tree
that's
and
cruel.
get outta
Honestly,
here?
I'm not the worst at dodgeball, and my team was doing fairly well in the beginning, but then Billy Johnson was on the other
You'd line up against the wall, and then the biggest person at the school, the coach, would hurl a ball at your head, that red ball that had a texture. And even if it grazed you, what did they make that out of? Like shark skin or something? Even if it grazed you, it still took off skin.
team, and of course, he's the meanest kid in school, and he's also the biggest. That's just not fair. Before
fair.
too long, I
not
was
fair.
the last remaining survivor on my side of the gym, and Big Billy was watching me like a shark. A terrifying glint in his eye and 2 balls in his hands. With
Yeah.
a Bob Gibson-like motion, he whipped the first ball at me,
that's
which
ironic.
I, if I do say so myself, very gracefully leapt over. My momentary elation was shattered when Billy's second ball,
The red
traveling
ball!
at speeds that should be impossible for 11-year-olds to generate, smacked me right between
Right
the legs.
in the biscuits
I
and
crumpled
gravy.
to the ground in agony and vowed that my future kids, if I
Right
could still
in
have
the
them,
cool in
would
the
all
gang.
have doctor's notes excusing them from all dodgeball-related activities. Next period was
Okay, I didn't have that, but my brother did in middle school. He got excused from PE.
math, and my day actually
not
started
fair.
to improve. I may not be the best at reading or history, but numbers just make
Don't
sense
know
to me,
much
and I
about
actually enjoyed
history.
learning about fractions for the first time.
Don't know
Math
much
was just a big puzzle, and I've always
biology.
been very good at those.
was
Mrs. Old Krabby
not
actually
good at
complimented me
math.
on how fast I was picking everything up, and despite Steve's
let it
snickers, I
down and
couldn't
I'll
help
pick
but
it
feel
up.
a little bit proud. After
In my
what felt
Ernie
like a
shirt.
week of school, it was finally 3:15 on the first day. The bell was
As soon as
ringing
3 o'clock
amidst much
rolls around,
celebration
bow,
from
bow,
all of
bow,
us.
bow, bow.
I was certainly not
There's a lot of songs about school. Have you noticed that?
looking forward to another 179 days of this, but as I made my way outside,
Okay, 170, so 180 days. That's not the case anymore. I think in our district now, they just added some days. And I think it's 186, maybe? It couldn't be 190, could it? Wow.
Wendy stopped me, and she said she had trouble understanding the math we learned today.
And I was holding
she
2
asked
balls.
me if I could help her after school sometime. I flushed and stammered out yes,
Always
before
flush.
spinning on my heels and heading to my bike as fast as I could. All the while thinking maybe this year wouldn't be so bad after all.
Yeah.
Oof,
For
what
me,
a
that was
day.
middle school.
Did our
That's when I
first
kind of
day of
discovered.
school bring back any memories
I
of your
discovered
school
girls,
days?
but there was a lot of
What
girls to
back
look
to
at
school things did
when
we
I was in
forget?
middle school.
Get in the comments and tell us your school memories. But before
Ah,
you go,
school
your
memories.
homework is just to hit that thumbs up icon for us. It really helps. Subscribe to the channel so you never
So,
miss a pop quiz.
Unless your dog eats your computer mouse, you can't not do your homework. Your dog did not eat your homework.
And from all of us here at Do You Remember, let's
you
enjoy
remember?
the year, y'all.
Let's enjoy.
If you were
Let's
once-
enjoy the year, y'all. Okay, that was oh man, what it was like. What school was really like growing up in the 70s. Hold on here, I made my screen too big. You know, let me tell you something. And I got this is my little soapbox rant right now. So our where we live, the school district, actually school starts tomorrow. The recording of this video, tomorrow's August 3rd. August 3rd. School is starting August 3rd. Are you kidding me? There's a heat wave going on, and the school air conditioners never work anyway. And now these poor kids and teachers, they got August 3rd. I distinctly remember I was discussing this with my mom, retired teacher, that we used to start after Labor Day. We'd watch the Jerry Lewis telethon, and then the next day we'd go to school. We started September 1st. And soon it got to be September 1st. I gotta go back. Wow! Back to what? Okay. Now I understand. I know there was a thing called the Pan-D. I get it. Okay? And I know the schools were closed. I get it. Okay? But let me tell you something. Because I studied some of this stuff in college. Thomas Jefferson. That's right. I'm gonna quote Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson said that education should be ornamental as well as utilitarian. That's probably not an exact quote, but that's what he said. And I think for our generations, that summer break, summer school, not summer school. Oh boy, whoa, summer break. That's the ornamental. That's something that's ornamental, and I'm very concerned. Again, this is my little soapbox. I'm very concerned about us taking that away from kids. Think about the things that you learned if you had summer break. August 3rd, really? Think about the things you experienced in the summer. Think about the things you learned. Think about the adventures you had. Didn't that add to making you the person that you are today? It seems to me that in when I was growing up, the summer is where I got to learn about me and who me am. Well, how are these kids going to learn who me am if they've got to go back to school on August 3rd? I understand. I get it. Our school district will start in our town. It's starting tomorrow, August 3rd, and the school day is longer. They've added time. Well, okay. Well, what about high school kids? That they work. I worked starting 15. I lied about my age so I could become a lifeguard. I had to be 16. I lied about my age. It was so different when there was not an internet that could check you on everything. It was awesome. I lied about my. So I worked every summer. Starting at age 15, I bought a car. I had money throughout the year. I did work during the school year briefly at a gas station on the weekends, and it was awful. I would do my homework, and I did that. But if I worked in the summer and if I was careful, which I wasn't, but if I was, I would have had money for the whole year. I could have bought my own Christmas presents and stuff, and gone out on dates. Because I earned that money. I didn't ask my mom for money. My mom gave me lunch money, which, by the way, was 50 cents back then. But that was part of summer. And because I did that in high school, starting at age 15, that carried on through college. I worked all through college in swimming pools for Parks and Recreation. Would I have been able to do that if I didn't have the summer? I don't know. But I think it's something that we're losing in this society because we're not being the custodians of these kids with their summers, and the summer is not just goof off. There is benefit to the summer. Now, here's the one thing that people don't understand. People ask the question all the time: why do we have summer break? Where did that come from? And the big answer usually is, do you know the answer? In fact, why don't you put your answer in the comments below? I'll wait for you. Okay, do you know why? Most people say, let's see if this is the answer you put. Most people say, well, the reason is because kids, when we were more of an agrarian society, kids had to stay on the farm or on the ranch to help. It is a farmer thing. And that's not true. That's a slow time for farmers. Their harvest is in the fall. It's not true. The whole reason we have summer break, it started because there was no way to cool off those school buildings. Think about it. Before air conditioning, there was absolutely no way you could cool off a building. You could heat a building, you could have a potbelly stove, you could wear a coat. You can't cool a building. And our school district's about to find that out, because I guarantee you those air conditioners are not going to be working across the board. I guarantee it. And we're in the middle of a heat wave. We're having a heat wave. So we're taking the summer away. The school day's longer. the kids aren't going to be able to have adventures. And I know, it's a different world. I know kids can't just walk around the neighborhoods like we did, and they're going to just be on their phones. I'm still sad to see it go. That was an awesome time, and I'm glad that I was of a generation that we had summer break. We didn't start school until September 1st. When did your school start? Do you remember? Was it after Labor Day? Why don't you put that down in the comments below? And while you're at it, since you got your finger on the mouse, why don't you go ahead and like this video? Share this video, and please subscribe. I know it would help me out a lot, and I would really appreciate it. But while you're also doing that, make sure you go over to Do You Remember? And Nostalgic Nick would really appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe to his channel, like you're going to do with mine. You're going to like it, you're going to share it, and you're going to subscribe it. Our school this year in this town starts August 3rd, and I'm sad about it. What were some of your memories? Put them in the comments below. What's something that was not part of the video? Did you walk to school? Did you ride to school? My dad used to tell a story that they didn't have school lunches. Everybody came home and you ate at home for lunch. And he actually got in a lot of shenanigans, as was his wont. That's what he did. That's what my dad did. I'm sure we did the same, walking to school. Anyway, you're just in time. We're wrapping this one up. We'll see you again real soon. Have a great rest of your summer. If school doesn't start for you tomorrow, consider yourself lucky. Bye-bye.